Good morning, Metro Nui! Welcome back to another episode of the Barraki Talk Show. We're your hosts, the Mielik brothers,
Jacob,
Samuel,
Thomas, and we're glad you're joining us today as we talk our way through the weird and wondrous world of Bionicle. But first, coming up on the Barraki Talk Show. Fragmentation to destroy their unity, disintegration to disintegrate their duty, and poison to poison their destiny.
I'm pretty sure that's not how it went.
I'm not disparaging the crab, I'm disparaging his relationship to the crab. It could have grown, where instead it just stayed stagnant, much like the evolution of the crab. The carcinization of love.
Okay, Boxor doesn't have wheels for one.
Prove it.
It literally doesn't have wheels.
I believe you. One of the tertiary powers of the Kanohi Avohkii is generating profit.
True.
All that and more coming up on the Barraki Talk Show. The topic of today's episode is The Mask of Light, the movie. And setting the context for the movie, this happens after the Bohrok-Kal invasion, and all of the Matoran have been rebuilt to stronger and better forms. Additionally, Jaller, Avohkii, and Holly have been renamed. Jaller is now called Jaller, and Holly and Avohkii's spellings have been changed, but their names are pronounced the same.
Why were they changed?
Because they lost a lawsuit to the Maori, they had to change the names. In lore, it's just because those people were Chads during the Bohrok invasions. Make of that what you will. Hafu didn't get renamed though, so how much do they really value?
No, not Hafu. Hafu, my favorite.
he was already perfect to begin with. They didn't need to change him.
See, out of
That
world,
is so true.
Hafu was a name that was totally infringing on it, but the Maori were like, nah, he's cool. He can keep the name. He gets the pass. Okay.
When we make merch for this show, it just needs to be like a Hafu, all Hafu related merch.
Yeah.
My love for Hafu is canon.
Yes.
Okay. So, the movie starts off with Takua and Jaller going down into like the middle of the volcano, I assume.
Yeah. Yeah.
The movie's very unclear on where anything and everything seems to take place. It gives you a general sixth of the island on it where it happens, but specific locations are sparse. Anyway, so Takua is jumping across a lava lake to get to a stone. It's not even an interesting looking stone. It's just kind of like a solid cylinder, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess that alone kind of makes it look interesting.
That's a good point. A purely cylindrical stone is interesting.
Yeah.
So, he grabs it, and as he's going back across the lake, a tremor shakes the entire volcano, and clumsy guy that he is, he drops the stone into the lava. So, when the stone goes into the lava, it reveals that the Mask of Light, which you might get from the name of the movie, is pretty important, is revealed. And does he grab it, or does Tahu?
I think Takua does grab it because he goes to surf across, or he goes to
he starts
paddle
like,
across, and then grabs it, and then that's when it like shines all in his face, and then the lava comes down.
Yeah, so the tremors release like this ginormous lava flow, and it's gonna kill Takua, obviously. And Jallar's like, no! And then Tahu comes surfing over it on his lava board, grabs him, and they have this whole cool chase scene down the river that I actually think is really cool. Like, it was honestly kind of hype for me. So they almost get overwhelmed by the wave, but they go off the side of the lava fall and are like, Tahu stuck his swords in with Takua on his back onto the side. And as the lava is coming over, he uses his mask of shielding to just block all the lava flow. And then that's kind of like the end of the scene, essentially.
Yeah.
What I liked about the scene is that they emphasize the physical strength that the Toa have. Like, Tahu is like running and jumping and flipping. Like, he's super agile and clearly super strong because he's able to dig his swords into solid stone, right? And they're like flying and surfing, and it's just, I don't know, it's cool and very fits with the like adventurous theme. Like, they're not just warriors, they're also explorers, like acrobats and athletes.
I would like to say that this is not the last time we will see Tahu be extremely agile as he just randomly jumps massive distances in the blink of an eye.
Yes.
Very, very entertaining.
I liked it in this scene because I thought they were emphasizing it. Later on, no, they just I think they just didn't like walking animations. So they're just like have him fly everywhere like he's on a string.
Just slap some motion blur on there. You don't have to do any animating at all, actually.
We don't blame the animators though, because there were like 2 of them total on this movie.
And there was very limited amount of time to get that movie done.
Limited budget, time, resources. So for what they had, I think
That's
this movie,
pretty good.
Yeah, this movie did pretty well. So after that, Tahu's like, this mask looks super duper important and has something written on it. It's also glowing. Let's go play Kanohi first, and then we can take it to the Turaga. The theme of this movie is that everyone and their mom is totally obsessed with Kanohi. It's all they think about. It's pretty funny. And
their priorities go Kanohi, anything else.
Exactly. It's Kanohi, and then number 2 is also Kanohi, and then Kanohi practice, and then everything else. Okay. So they go to the Kanohi Championships, and for those who don't know, Kanohi is like, how would you describe it? Polo and soccer mixed together.
It's sort of like lacrosse.
It is sort of like lacrosse.
It's like lacrosse and soccer mixed together because they have these sticks that can catch the Kanohi ball, but also hammers on the other side so they can like whack it super hard. And they have goals with a specified goalie on it. And if you get to the ball and the opponent's goal, you obviously score a point. So I guess it is just soccer.
Soccer with sticks and nets.
Yeah.
Or not nets,
No
but
nets,
like
just
a hook.
Yeah. So it's a very interesting sport. Oh yeah, the 3 teams that are playing in this Kanohi Championship, because it is played with 3 teams, is Ta-Koro, who's fielding Jaller and Takua, Ga-Koro, who's fielding Maku and Holly, and Po-Koro, who's fielding Hyuki and Hafu.
Hafu.
Yeah, Hafu's there. So obviously Po-Koro are the favorite people because they've been the champs for like ever, right? And they have Hafu, and they have Hyuki, and Gali and Tahu and Pohatu are also there watching the match. And they're all like, oh yeah, my team's totally gonna win, right? So eventually, in a total upset, Ga-Koro ends up winning the match, and everyone goes wild, except for the Ta-Koro section.
I think it's because Hafu had a non-canon crush on Holly.
Oh, so he let her win?
Mm-hmm.
Even though Holly's totally in love with Jaller?
Correct.
It's a weird love triangle.
It's not a love triangle. It's completely one-sided on Hafu's part.
So it's just a normal crush.
I am making up this lore completely.
You don't say.
I'm just trying to figure out a way to make it so Hafu
Hafu will never be relevant
he still
again.
maintains his dignity, okay?
Anyway, so Ta-Koro sadly doesn't score a single point in the entire tournament because Takua is totally off his balance. Because first of all, he has the mask in his backpack the whole time. Right? What were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say what a legend, right? Like,
but not reborn. That comes later.
yeah.
No, yeah. So the only thing Takua does interesting is he tries to do like this weird sick flip curl move that would launch it at like the speed of sound, but he fails, and so they end up with no points, and he like
Imagine
falls.
like a trebuchet, right? Like, but not more than just a trebuchet because it would go all the way around. But that's what he's doing. It's like he's grabbing the stick, grabbing the ball, flipping himself in the air, and then using the leverage of the Kanohi stick to fling the ball. Like,
it's like if when Sonic does his little spin dash move, if you gave him a Kanohi stick.
Yeah.
That's what Takua tries to do.
Did he not end up just chucking it straight into the ground? I thought that's what happened.
no, he
No.
shoots off because it like bounces off and almost hits the Turaga, I think.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It like hits into the wall, like it's
Yeah.
and sticks there. So yeah, he fails that move, although it would have looked really cool if it landed.
I would like to defend Takua here a little bit because he almost just died like right before this. So
That's true.
he's probably a little
But it was
shaken.
also his own fault entirely.
Well, no, I'm not saying, but whether it's your own fault or not, when you almost die, you're pretty shaken up. You know, it's like,
Would you know from experience or?
I mean, like,
I've almost tried to kill him a few times.
yeah,
Oh.
it's a rush.
It's a rush.
No, but Takua's been in life and death situations. Did you not? He saved like multiple Koros.
Yeah,
This
right?
is true.
Basically saved every
Chronicler
Turaga.
boy.
Yeah, exactly. He's used to danger, so he has no excuse. And Ta-Koro has home field advantage because they're playing at Ta-Koro.
True.
So even more bad Takua. Boo. No, I like Takua. I just think he's not a great Kanohi player. Should have subbed him out for Hyuki or something.
Which is ironic considering later events.
It's not ironic.
You're ironic.
You might say it was almost like foreshadowing or something
Almost
like that.
like that. But this is two boxer. Anyway. Right as the match ends and they're all like bowing to the Turaga to congratulate or whatever, the mask of light falls out of Takua's pack. Uh-oh. And it starts shining on him. And the Turaga are like, what is that? And the other Toa are like, what is that? And Tahu, who never told them about it the whole time, he doesn't really say anything either, right? They
Yeah.
all just kind of look at it. So Turaga recognizes the mask and he's like, oh yeah, this thing is meant to help us find...
Turaga? You mean
Sorry.
Vakama?
Turaga Vakama is what I meant to say. Turaga Vakama recognizes the mask and he's like, oh yeah, this thing was meant for the Seventh Toa. And they look on the back and there's like writing and he's like, okay, we need someone to find the Seventh Toa. So one of you, Takua or Jaller, needs to be the herald. He wanted Takua, but Takua's like, nah, Jaller, you be the herald. You get to find it because he's...
No, it's because well, for starters, he knows that it has something to do with him, but he doesn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, he claimed it was because the mask kept shining on Jaller, even though it only shone when it was touching Takua.
Yeah.
But it just the way that it happened to work out, it was shining on Jaller.
Since it shines from the front and he was touching it from the back, it was shining at Jaller.
Yeah.
So that's why people could believe that he was the herald. So then they go off and Turaga Nokama reads. They're all like gathered in one of the kinis, probably Ta Kini, but it could have also been Kina Nui. And Turaga Nokama has her mask of translation, so she's able to read on the back of it. And we translated the Matoric, and it's just total
Pure
nonsense. Yeah. So I'm not sure what she was reading, but it wasn't average Matoric.
What did it? I forget what it said.
It was something weird, like
Something
assembly.
Technic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did find it. It says, Technic Organic App One Destiny.
Okay.
It's a very efficient language. You can fit a whole book on a napkin.
Yeah, so take from that what you will.
Yeah.
If you have some insanely clear insight, please let us know, because we thought about it and could not figure out what the heck they were trying to convey with that.
So you telling me Nokama just made up the whole prophecy? Just pulled a Vitruvius? She's like, oh yeah, this means to defeat Makuta. Anyway, so they translate it and it's like, oh, the mask will help. The Seventh Toa, the Toa of Light, will help to defeat the Makuta, right? So they go off, Takua and Jaller go off riding Puki to go and find the Seventh Toa. So after Jaller and Takua set off on their Ussel Crab Puki to go and find it wherever the mask is. Puku, sorry. They're going wherever the mask seems to shine the brightest, but since they're near, Takua is just shining in whatever direction it happens to be pointed.
Wait, are you telling me this journey is entirely pointless?
No.
Surely not.
No, that would be insane. Anyway, but it is. So, after this, we get a scene of Makuta where he's like, okay, he's in his dark lair, right? And he's like, I will attack the Toa on these principles. I don't remember what it was. But he makes 3 Rakshi, which are like, they're called the Sons of Makuta because they're made from his essence. And they're like super evil, supposedly super powerful, like minions of his, right? And it sends out 3 Rakshi, the Panrak, which is the brown one, who has the power of fragmentation. Gurok, who is the blue one and has the power of disintegration. And Lirok, who is the green one and has the power of poison.
Are you sure those are the ones he sends out first? Because I thought the 3 principles were something like anger to destroy their duty.
No, he was like fragmentation to destroy their unity, disintegration to disintegrate their duty, and poison to poison their destiny.
I'm pretty sure that's not how it went.
There was definitely fear and hunger.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hunger was duty, or I'm 90% sure hunger was duty. And fear must have been unity. And I can't remember what the destiny one was because we were kind of like, well, what? Like, how did those exactly relate?
They're completely interchangeable in what 4 values they happen to attack at any time.
Liberty, égalité, fraternité.
Makuta is just French.
I would
we did
believe
say
it.
he was evil, so sorry to any French listeners who may be out there.
So, he sends them out, and they have these cool staffs, and they can put their feet together and just fly freely
Yep.
and infinitely. So they start flying right to the heralds, or the herald, I guess. And on the way, Golly is there, and she's like, whoa, these guys seem to be able to fly. So she swims, trying to keep up and go after them. And I will say the sequence where the Rockshare introduced is actually really cool and well done. Makuta has like this cool reverby voice, and they're like all in the shadows and spooky. Does a good job of hyping them up.
Although it is never explained how they fly. They just do. And that irks me to no end.
What do you mean it's not explained? They put their feet together. they say there's no place like home. There's no place like home. Then they fly.
Every other flying being in Bionicle has wings or like rockets.
Yeah, Lua, who has to use both his elemental powers and his mass power to be able to fly. It's like, okay, I can believe that. The Rockshi, who can just do it on command. It's like, what? Especially since baseline Makuta can't fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is going on here?
So stupid.
It is kind of a weird thing. I think they just did it for total convenience. It's like, we don't want to... They didn't want to animate them walking.
I'm sensing a theme here.
That might actually be the case. Anyway, so everyone in this movie either jumps or flies pretty much everywhere. So,
Or rides.
yeah. So like, we only want to animate all the legs on one single creature.
But we're gonna give it multiple
Exactly.
legs.
Genius.
More than 2.
Genius
It's
move.
like, what?
The carcinization of animation. Anyway, all the Rockshi approach Takoro, and Golly gets there just before them. She's like, Tahu, these crazy guys are coming, and I'm pretty sure they're up to no good, right? So they burst in using the powers of disintegration or fragmentation. Completely impossible to tell which one does which. And they start fighting Golly and Tahu, and the Toa don't do very well in fending them off. So they're unable to beat them. And in the fight, the poison Rockshi gets a cut on Tahu's mask. And so like that will be a later plot point in the movie because the poison starts spreading to infect him.
Do you know why I think that Toa struggled to fight the Rockshi?
Because they attacked their unity.
Wrong.
They attacked their duty.
Wrong.
They attacked their destiny.
Wrong. Knees.
Good point. The Rockshi have knees.
They do.
The Toa do not have knees.
Yep.
How they jump without knees is beyond me. Set-wise, they don't have knees. In the lore, they have knees. Knees are canonical. Okay. Canonical.
Unlike love.
Bionicle. I love knees. Okay. So, the Rockshi break through, the Toa can't defeat him, and they start blowing up Takoro, which, since Takoro is situated in the middle of a lake of lava, when they, like, destroy the support structure, everyone has to evacuate, and Takoro wholesale just sinks into the lava and is destroyed forever, permanently. I'm like, okay, that's actually a pretty good way to raise the stakes without actually killing anyone or seriously injuring anyone, so it's very PG friendly.
You know what else really irks me about this movie, though? The fact that they retcon the designs of basically everything, including Takoro. Like, Takoro has a very well-established design, and it looks nothing like how it does in the movie. And it's just like, why?
The movie designs are very, very different from all other designs in art, comics, the sets. So you just kind of have to...
It's kind of its own thing, but annoyingly, it 100% is canon.
Yeah, it's just straight up canon. So, make your peace with it, I suppose. So, Vakama, Turaga Vakama, that is, shows up and he's like, okay, you got to tell the other Toa because those things are definitely looking for the Mask of Light. Too big of a coincidence. They're going after Jaller and Takua. Go help them, right? So, Gali and Tahu set off to gather the other Toa and help them. So, in the meantime, Jaller and Takua have rode the Ussel Crab into Lee Koro, and they get immediately ambushed by an ash bear, which is essentially just a giant bear. There's no ash about it, as far as I know. No ifs, ash, or but. Anyway, as they're getting attacked by the ash bear, they're gonna die until Lewis shows up, saves them, kind of like pats away, does a whole animal whisperer thing on the ash bear. And then he's like, okay, what are you guys doing? And they tell him all about it. He's like, oh, that sounds nice. And so he eventually escorts them to Kokoro. Yeah, he has a Guko come pick them up. And so they ride on the Guko bird. And then he just flies alongside them up to the slopes of Mount Aihu. And so when he's there, he hears drums from Lee Koro, which communicate the information that the Rockshi are coming and he needs to go meet with the Toa. I'm like, okay, that's actually a really cool way to integrate like the musical qualities of Lee Koro, because I'm like, that's a good way to get information across long distances.
Also, real quick note, the Guko has a name?
It does?
You literally wrote it in the notes. It's named Ka.
Oh yeah, it's a Gugo named Ka. It has no relevance or impact on anything, but the Gugo bird they ride is called Ka.
That's actually good to know, because
K-A.
I was wondering if the one in the set has a name, and that's supposed to be that one. So
Yep.
there you go. It does.
I'm so brilliant, my preparation even surprises me.
I would have loved if the bird just started singing "Trust in
me."
No,
Just
That's the Rockshi
in
mind
me.
how
reading,
dare
you idiot.
Ka is best boy.
I don't even know if Ka is a boy.
Ka is best non-binary creature.
I think
it has
is.
a gender.
Yeah, it's just unspecified.
Yep. Just because we can't know it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Anyway. So, Lua leaves off to go meet with the other Toa. And then Jaller and Takua continue on through the thing. As they're going through the slopes of Mount Aihu, they're like in the drifts, they stumble upon a bunch of frozen Bohrok. Like, oh, that's spooky. And as they're looking at them, Kopaka strides out, who obviously froze all the Bohrok. Although it couldn't have been recently, because all the Bohrok were sent to the caves. So he was just hanging around an old trophy, I guess. He's like, oh yeah, I love looking at all these Bohrok I froze a billion years ago.
That is the most Kopaka coded thing I think I've ever heard.
He just refreezes them every once in a while to flex. He's like, yeah.
He's like, I
Yeah,
still
this
got
one.
it. Anyway, so then the Rockshi attack and Kopaka's like, oh no. So he gives them the shield and acts like a saucer, and he goes on his skis, and they sled down the mountain while the flying Rockshi are trailing right after them. And they get to a frozen lake, like at the bottom of this ravine or valley or whatever. And so Kopaka lures... Takua and Jaller are trying to paddle across the lake to get to the other side, and the Rockshi are following them. And when the Rockshi are in the water, Kopaka just freezes the entire lake and solos all three Rockshi.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, he's definitely the most solo competent Toa that they have, which I think is really nice, because like Kopaka gets some major victories.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He's definitely Greg's favorite, because Greg explicitly said that he's his favorite. So, all those Rockshi are frozen, and Makuda's like, grr, he got all my Rockshi, right? So as Takua and Jaller are continuing on their journey, they go into the caves of Onu Koro. That's where the mask is pointing. And this is where Makuda, who's a little miffed, starts tormenting Takua, who got separated from Jaller. And he's like, He's like, if you don't surrender the mask to me, right, I'm gonna kill Jaller, and maybe your little crab too. He doesn't say that, but it's implied by me. Anyway,
Okay.
Takua's like, yeah, I'm not cut out to be the herald, and I don't want Jaller to die or Puku, so I'm just gonna give up on the quest, right? And so he kind of does, and he has a big falling out with Jaller, who's Jallar's like, fine, I'll just be the actual herald now and go find it. So the mask, or the light from the mask, keeps getting dimmer as he goes into the Onu-Koro caves, and he eventually gets to Onu-Koro proper, and that's where Onua and Pohatu are just chilling, I guess. I don't know what Pohatu's there, but
Yeah, he's literally just there when, not that long ago he was at the Kanohi tournament. So it's like, okay.
well, he wasn't there to defend against the Rockshi in the Kanohi tournament, so I don't know where the heck he was. I guess
He
he was
just booked
as
out
soon as
there.
the
He has
tournament was
an
over,
mask of speed, so
True.
he was just.
which will not be making any appearance in this movie, at least powers-wise.
Also, the worst misdeed of this whole movie is not giving Pohatu his thick hip.
Yeah, that's true. The design, he has the same design as everybody
How-
else. He's not flipped.
Dare they?
We can talk about the designs after the plot section. So as they go on, Makuda's like, okay, fine. I will make 3 more Rockshi. And he makes the Turok, which is the red one, and that's fear. Makes the Bohrok, which is the black one, that's hunger. And he makes the Kurok, which is the white one, which is anger. And so he sends them. He's like, this will work this time, for sure. So long as Kopaka's not around.
I am noticing that those are the ones that we were saying earlier, hunger and fear, and I am sure that he says something about those. So
Yes, he does.
Maybe he doesn't talk about it the first time, and then the second time he's like, now I'll go after their unity and duty and destiny.
Yeah, I think that's right, actually.
Anyway, so they go and they break through into Onu-Koro. And so the goats, Onua and Pohatu, have to fight them off, right? And Onua's like, oh, I have the Mask of Strength. I'll just start grappling with this one. Fortunately, the one he grapples with is the one that can steal strength upon contact. And so it's like, oh, Onua's down. And Pohatu, it doesn't fare much better. And so Jaller is like, oh, this is super spooky. So he starts running out and eventually reunites with Takua, who is like kind of gotten back some of his wits and is like, okay, I kind of want to continue the quest again. So they're getting overwhelmed until the other 3 Toa, Lua, the other 4 Toa, Kopaka's there as well. They all come in and they start engaging the Rockshi. Tahu, during this time, his poison corruption has gotten crazier, and so he's acting like super irrational and starts lashing out at the other Toa. The Rockshi end up fleeing to go do whatever, and Kopaka has to freeze Tahu just so he won't like start killing them, right? And so Tahu's frozen, and also during the scuffle, when the Rockshi leave, a bunch of rocks fall on Onua and Pohatu. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
And so the other Toa just take Tahu, and they just skedaddle to Kinanui so that they can try to heal him, just leaving Pohatu and Onua for dead.
I completely forgot about that, honestly.
Because they don't draw much attention to it in the movie, but I'm like, they just left them under those rocks. And we're like, oh yeah, I'm sure they'll be fine. But it's like,
I mean, they are the earth and stone Toa, to be fair.
But you would think after a few minutes of nothing happening, like, well, one of them was like almost unconscious. Maybe they weren't able to do much.
Yeah, fair point.
Yeah. So the other Toa go to Kinanui, and this is where like the spiritual aspects of the movie start kicking in, because Gali uses her powers of water along with kind of the elemental energy of the other Toa to heal Tahu from the poison. And so, because the poison is obviously not purely physical, it's also affecting his mental state, which is another mystical element added to the powers, which I noticed weren't really present before then. Like ice was just ice, but in this one, like water is healing and poison is like anger or whatever. I guess so you can poison destiny, but I digress. So they successfully heal Tahu, and it drains like all of them though, and Gali is even seen, which is a cool touch later after that. dipping her hands in the river and just absorbing water, which I'm like, okay, that's cool, showing us that the Toa have to recharge their elemental powers. So Takua and Jaller eventually find out that the mask is leading them towards Kinanui. And after Tahu is successfully healed, Kopaka goes back to rescue Pohatu and the Onua, while the other three head to Kinanui to kind of protect the heralds. So when they get to Kinanui, Jaller and Takua are ambushed by all 6 Rakshi, because in the meantime, night had fallen over the Rakshi who were frozen in the lake, and as we'll learn later, darkness strengthens the Rakshi, which, as part of Makuta, makes sense. So that's why they're able to break out of the lake and go and attack. So, as they're getting ambushed, the Toa arrive just in time to assist them. But one of the Rakshi is getting a blast off, like a perfectly good blast off, on Takua, but Jaller jumps in the way and he dies instead of Takua.
Rip Jaller.
Very sad.
Oh.
I know. I'm like, aw, I liked Jaller. So it fulfills Makuta's promise that if he didn't give him the mask, he would kill Jaller, as he did. Although Puku, completely fine. So he's a filthy liar in that regard.
What can you expect from Makuta?
Yeah, I know. What a loser.
Puku's the best.
So then, devastated by Jaller's death, Takua's like, it's all so clear now. He has like the moment when Aang gives up Katara and he's like, I can achieve the Avatar state now. And all Takua needed, or all Jaller needed to do was die. Riddle me this. Anyway, so he realizes he's destiny and he puts on the Mask of Light and he transforms into Takanuva, the Toa of Light. So the Rakshi are like, ooh, all spooked out. And the Toa Nuva use multiple elemental combos to take out the Rakshi permanently. They do like, Lua spins up like a bunch of sand into whatever, and then Tahu melts it into glass.
Yeah, that was cool.
And it was like, that's a sick combo to do. And so they defeat the Rakshi, and they're like, okay, now, obviously, Takanuva has the destiny to go and defeat Makuta, but like, we need to find Makuta. What they end up doing, they take the parts of the Rakshi and the Krata, and they make a vehicle out of it. And so since the Krata are like linked to the very essence of Makuta, that's what leads the Asanui, which is what the vehicle is called, into Makuta's lair, so they can go and fight him. So, in the meantime, the Toa and Turaga Vakama are like, we can sense the end is coming, gather all the villagers, we're gonna have to like leave the island, essentially. Like, wow, that's a big leap of logic. How did you know that? But kind of never really explained. Anyway, Takanuva rides his vehicle, the Asanui, into Pterodax's lair, and he walks in. He's like, I'm here to challenge you, grr. And Makuta's like, super like threatening and imposing. He's walking up like through the mist and fog. He's like, you think you can challenge me? You're so far below me. Fool, what a loser you are. I would destroy you. And then he's like, how about a game of Kolhi, huh? That sounds like a fun way to determine this contest.
Such a bizarre choice, but it looks cool.
It fits with the theme of the movie of everyone and their mom being obsessed with Kolhi. I'm telling you, it's like...
Thomas, you know just as well as the rest of us, mothers are not canon.
Everyone and their creation machine being obsessed with Kolhi.
Everyone in their red star.
Red Star doesn't make people, you idiot.
Oh yeah, Turaga do. Forgot about
when
that.
I flip the Matoran
that old detail. Wait, did you know about that, Samuel? Turaga canonically have Matoran making machines.
When they need what? Yeah. I went over in the Matoran episode, I believe. But when they need new Matoran, just...
I don't remember that.
Yeah.
I remember the Red Star thing, but I don't remember.
Bizarre. They don't have them on Matanui because that'd be ridiculous.
Okay.
But in Metronui they do. And other islands, I presume. I don't know. He just says Turaga, in the general sense, have access to machines that make Matoran. But this is Boxor. So, Pterodax is like, I'll challenge you to a game of Kolhi, right? And so, this is obviously not a normal Kolhi game with goals or whatever. They're just shooting balls of darkness and light at each other. And they're fighting in his lair. So there's like all these pillars around the side, and in the middle of the lair is a big old pool of energized protodermis. So Makuta's just kind of standing on the ground, but in typical this movie fashion, Takanuva is jumping from pillar to pillar and flying around. And Makuta seems to be getting the upper hand, right? It's like, oh no, he's finally going to win. But then Takanuva has an idea. So when Makuta throws the ball at him, he jumps off the pillar and he initiates the sonic spin flip trebuchet maneuver and launches the ball at supersonic speeds and totally knocks Makuta in, like, I don't know, in the face. I don't remember where he hits him.
I don't know. It's
Yeah,
somewhere.
He totally annihilates Makuta with his ball of light energy. And so Makuta's like, oh, and he's stumbling back. And in the meantime, all of the Matoran and the Toa are here just spectating it because they got down to Makuta's lair really, really fast. And so when Makuta is struggling, Takanuva, who still knows what his destiny is, he goes up and he grabs Makuta, and they both fall into the big pool of conveniently placed energized protodermis.
Which, for the record, looks like the Bionicle logo, which is pretty dang cool.
Yeah, it's the symbol with the 3 dots.
The
and
energized
outside things.
protodermis in and of itself does not look like the Bionicle symbol.
Sorry.
The pool of protodermis is shaped like...
I think that our viewers are intelligent enough to extrapolate from
Our viewers
incomplete
can't
data.
even see things,
Yeah,
Jacob. How are you supposed to extrapolate that?
Are you calling our viewers blind? First it was the deaf
thought we
ones, now
established-
it's
We
the
already
blind
established-
ones.
We
the
never established. Our
blindness.
viewers can hear things.
Yeah, that's the whole point.
We call those our listeners.
Wow.
Well, that's what people who listen to this do. Anyway, so they fall into it, and the Turaga are like, oh, dang. Well, to fulfill the destiny and get everyone off the island, we have to go through that big old giant door that's on the other end, right? And like, but this door is totally unliftable. Then out of the energized protodermis crawls a fusion of Takanuva and Makuta called Takuta-Nuva. And it goes up and is controlled by the consciousness of Takanuva, and it just full-on raw strength lifts the ginormous door open. So all the villagers in Turaga start going through. But Holly, who is a friend of Jaller and was carrying his mask, as she's walking by, Takuta-Nuva's like, hold on there, that mask needs some life. And he just touches the mask and boom, Jaller rematerializes and is totally alive again.
And I hate it so much. I just...
We can get to that. We're almost to the end of the story. And so, after he does that, he gets all weak, right? And all the Matoran and Turaga and Toa are finally through. And Takuta-Nuva gets too weak, and the door just falls on him, shattering him completely. It's like, oh, dang, he's dead. And the Mask of Light spins out. And so, I think Vakama picks up the Mask of Light. And they all go into the next chamber, and they're like, oh, dang, Takanuva's dead. But then they all hold hands and put the Mask of Light in the middle of themselves, and boom, materializing out of thin air is Takanuva from his mask, perfectly normal and healthy.
Which might be the only thing I hate more than him reviving Jaller.
Yeah, it's just... It's so weird and contrived. And so then the Turaga are like, now there are mysteries that will be revealed to you because we have to tell you the stories of when we were Toa. And it goes out and you can see a beam of light hit the towers of Metro Nui, which is where the next few years will take place. And that's where the movie ends. So, the ending is a total mess, in my opinion. We're moving into the afterplot discussion now. And what do you guys think?
The ending is just terrible. The fight between Takanuva and Takanuva and Makuta is pretty cool. I actually did like that part.
I like
visually it looks cool. Thematically it makes sense. Yeah. I did like that. I actually like the concept of Takuta-Nuva. It's a really interesting idea, but it's just done so poorly.
It's just not explained, and it feels like a plot device. Like, this just has to happen to drive it forward, and that feels really stupid because it does seem something that could be pretty cool if they elaborated on it. What I don't understand is, like, and we were kind of talking about this earlier today. Just like, why does Takanuva have control over the merge of Takuta Nuva? Because he's like, oh, let's go open this door so they can all go to the tunnels to Metru Nui, and which Makuta would not want. So it's very strange that Takanuva has the ability to the dominance mentally, I guess, between the two of them to control the body to open the door. I just think it's weird because they don't even touch on it at all.
I'm sure there's some baloney plot reasons for
So
it.
the novel actually does it a little bit better, because the novel versions of the movie and the actual movie have different events take place at the end. So it does all this stuff, but when Takanuva throws the ball and unsettles Makuta, he grapples onto him and he actually switches their masks. And it's kind of elaborated in the novel. He's like, he knows what his destiny is. He needs the power of Takuta Nuva to complete it and open the door. So that's why he switches the mask. And then because Makuta was unsettled when they went to the protodermis, his mind had the dominance because he wasn't off balance. He knew what was going to happen, essentially. And so that's why he was in control just enough to lift the door open, and why he was fine with dying, because he's like, eventually Makuta's spirit is going to overpower mine. But in the novelization, Makuta Nuva doesn't die and shatter completely. It splits them back into two separate entities when they lose power, and Takanuva, alive and with his full body, falls on the side of the door that they need to get across, and Makuta's body, shattered body, goes on to the other side back to his lair. So in the novel, there's no resurrection of Takanuva. He's just alive when Takuta Nuva separates.
Which is just so much better.
Yeah. I'm like,
but
why did they not do this?
They still bring Jaller back to life, right?
Jaller still comes back to life.
If you, like, just for you guys who are confused by this, I won't elaborate entirely why we think this is stupid, but there's a good reason why this shouldn't happen at this point, like with Takanuva specifically. So it's just, once we get further down the road and you know more about the universe, you'll go, oh, okay, now we see why that was stupid, but just trust us for now. It's stupid.
Just from a narrative sense, it seems so weak. It's like, okay, Jallar's sacrifice is just totally
pointless.
Yeah, made up for, I guess.
Yeah.
And then in the movie, when they kill Takanuva as well and then resurrect him, it's like, so these guys could just die as many times. It feels like they could die as many times as they want, and there would be no consequences, because there were no consequences.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, oh, the worst that happens is you're out of the movie for 3 minutes of screen time? Max. Right. So I think that was always the weakest element of the movie. Like I mentioned, this is where the elements start taking on additional spiritual traits. And weirdly enough, it's something that's never really shown before and never really continues on after. So if you like that aspect of the lore,
too bad for you.
The design choices, I think, are a total mixed bag in this movie.
Yeah. I do like some parts of the movie designs. I think there are certain things that work well. But the muscle tissue, I really don't like.
The muscle tissue seems jarring because a lot of it seems like tacked on. It doesn't seem like it's an organic thing around their mechanical pieces.
Yeah. It just looks like if there was a hole in their armor, you just slapped muscle tissue in there. And it's like, it just doesn't look like it actually belongs to them.
And it makes everything seem more organic than it should be. Like, they don't look 15% organic like they're supposed to be in the lore. They look like 30%.
Yeah.
And especially the Rakshi, which are a purely mechanical shell, with the Krata being the only living thing, they look super duper organic.
Yeah.
And also nothing like their set counterparts, like almost indistinguishable. If I were to show you the two images side by side, it'd be hard to guess they're supposed to be the same thing.
For some reason,
wait, did you say the Matoran?
No, the Rakshi.
Oh,
the
the
Rakshi
yeah.
remind me of elites from Halo. Like, they have like elites mixed with like the monsters from Quiet Place, you know, like where their face splits open, but they kind of have that hunchbacked, very tall, imposing, but still like they just look weird in the movie. I don't know, it's very strange because the sets already look really imposing. I think just the actual design of the sets look really good, and so it's just kind of weird.
And in the promo animation trailers, they have animated versions of the Rockshi, which look very almost exactly like the sets, and they look really cool and menacing. You're like, oh yeah, I would be scared of these things if I was in this.
Yeah.
But the ones in the movie just seem, they're more strange and off-putting than they are menacing, in my opinion.
I will say I do really like the Toa, though. I think the Toa designs are actually extremely effective. They look like the sets. They 100% look recognizable to what they're supposed to be. And they also, but they feel like real, you know, like they have that, like, just kind of more filled in presence, I guess.
Yeah. And I love the Turaga in this movie. I think the Turaga are actually a step up from their set counterparts. Like, they feel so much older, wiser, but still like leader. They have that leader aesthetic. Their tools and their cloaks really add to like their demeanor. It kind of completes them in a way that their very limited piece count physically building them didn't allow them to do.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that about the movie. Especially Turaga Nuju. He looks phenomenal, in my opinion.
One last one I want to talk about is Makuta Pterodax, because this is a really weird one because he looks nothing like his set counterpart, like not even close. But the one in the movie is actually not that bad. Like it's kind of a cool design, but I wish I could talk to whoever did the character design for him, because it's like, did you guys just not, like, I don't know, did they not have a set for him at that time? I can't
imagine they wouldn't have had a reference.
What I heard, they had a prototype set that they were working off of. But they were basically just told to make him like big and imposing, and that's what they did.
Yeah,
so,
they did a good job in that regard. It just is so bizarre.
The mask is the most different thing. And actually, when we get to the set / technical info, I do have something to say about that because it's actually super interesting.
He looks like, if any of you have seen the show Acceleracers, he looks like the robot Kadeem from the end of the show. And he walks like in two. I think it's just a quirk of the animation at that time period, but it's uncanny. 0 people will know what I'm talking about. But on the animation point, I think the animation was fairly well done.
I think it's solid enough for a fairly low budget film in the early 2000s, you know, like
everything was smooth. The jumping, weird as it was, looked totally fine.
Yeah.
The end battle was actually my favorite sequence of it. Like, it was very fluid. Editing was good. So I have no real qualms with the animation. And that is all I have to say about the movie. Any further opinions?
I never have any ideas.
So, one of the last 2 orders of business for lore is Takanuva himself. So, Takanuva himself, I think he is the best design of the movie by far. Like, he looks so cool. You're like, heck yeah, this is the Toa of Light, right? So, in more specific lore points, Takanuva is the Toa of Light, but he's not technically a Toa Nuva. Despite having Nuva in his name, he is actually just a normal Toa. So he has normal levels of elemental control over his element being light at just normal Toa levels. But he is considered part of the Toa Nuva as an honorary member because I think he's cool enough to get it, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He also has no mask power because the Mask of Light, like other elemental masks, simply grants you access to the elemental pool of energy and the elemental affinity. So and since it doesn't double stack, he's just as powerful as a normal Toa with no mask power, essentially. The Avohkii, which is the Mask of Light, does actually have a few additional powers, though. It can spread emotional understanding, generate peace, and can sense the morality of other beings. So by dint of it being a legendary mask, it has a few additional traits that a normal, even Nuva mask wouldn't have. The reason Makuta fears Takanuva so much is because light is essentially super effective against Makuta. Like, he can disintegrate them, break through his armor and stuff. So that's why he's so scared of him. And I think that's actually a good explanation of why he wanted to play Kanohi with him. Because if they were just going all out shoot lasers, I think Makuta might lose. Because he's going up against someone who's like, you touch him, you die, essentially, levels of power.
Yeah.
When we get to the Makuta episode, I'll go more into detail. On the elemental light front, this is an absolutely busted element, because here are all the things it can do. So it can create lasers, right? Which are super duper strong, like legitimate lasers. It can create just normal beams of light to do whatever you want with. It can blind enemies. He can absorb all the light in an area, like other Toa can absorb, like water or whatever. He can create holograms and solid light creations, like Green Lantern. He can have increased speed. He can use light as a power source to, like, literally power mechanical things. He can change his appearance and colors by bending light. And he can't turn invisible because that would be too powerful, as said by Greg. Like, that's where you draw the line, Greg?
And yet, well, I don't want to spoil anything for the Rockshi episode, but let's just say it ain't impossible.
Yeah. It'd be too powerful for Takanuva to have.
Yeah, exactly.
Because an invisible guy that shoots lasers is way more powerful than a guy who can create holographic duplicates that shoot lasers.
Right.
Also, interesting note about Takanuva that I didn't realize until this. He's the first Matoran we see transform into a Toa in this series. Because before this, the Toa Mata just showed up as Toa.
Good point.
So when they're doing the search for the Seventh Toa, no one thinks that a Matoran is going to transform. Because they've only found Toa in their full states. So I'm like, if they're going on this journey, they maybe think he's buried in like a tomb or a coffin somewhere. I'm like, oh, that makes more sense why this whole journey is to search for it, not to put the mask on random Matoran hoping they transform.
Do the Turaga know this too? Like, do they, or are they thinking this, that it's going to be a fully fledged Toa to begin with? Because they should have known.
I don't know.
Is this just
because they also knew the Toa Mata were going to arrive, but they arrived fully fledged Toa. So if it's in the same vein of prophecies, they may have also assumed it was going to be a full-fledged Toa.
I guess that's a reasonable enough explanation. I feel like it probably was just a slip up. Like, they didn't.
Yeah, it's just a weird lore. I'm trying to rationalize this, okay? Anyway, are there any other opinions about Takanuva before we go to Chronicler's Corner?
Takanuva is by far the coolest Toa.
Oh yeah.
easy.
Like,
yeah.
For sure.
I just remember as a kid thinking, whoa, he's so cool. And then, like, we'll get to it, but there's Takanuva shows up again later, and that set, it was like mind-blowing. And then as we got further into Bionicle and started going backwards, like the more we got into it later in its run, the more we were interested in its beginning. And so then we kind of started going back, watching the old movies that were a little bit, we would have been just too young for them at the time. And so it's like seeing Takanuva, the set, the golden mask, everything is like, he's just, I mean, design wise, Lego nailed it. Like, he is one of the most effective Toa there is.
Every single iteration of his good. Movie version, original set, second Titan set, and then in Bionicle Stars also.
They're all
really good.
They
Like,
are
literally,
all good.
they're all good.
And not to mention, the Avohkii is just a very cool mask. I
It is.
love
I
the
love
Avohkii.
it. And if I had to nitpick about the movie, one thing about Takanuva in the movie is that I think they kind of did the Avohkii a little bit dirty compared to the actual Lego set, because the Lego set, it's so angular and it just like, it feels powerful but so clean at the same time. And I feel like it smooths out a lot in the movie, like kind of like they did with everything, and it loses a little bit of its presence, but it's still considerably better than most of the other.
That is like such a thing though that Bionicle repeatedly did, was just like mess up masks in their like
in their media. Yeah.
I mean, let's not even talk about the Mask of Life in the Mari comics.
Oh no.
Or even the original Mask of Life design. They're both horrible, but yeah.
But back to Takanuva, like even when you see his set, he's standing with like such authority and power.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't look like a Toa-Nuva, but you're like, this guy, he can hang with the best, right?
Yeah.
I remember going through Makuda's Guide to the Universe and go over the Toa-Nuva, and I'd always stop on Takanuva's page because I'm like, this guy just looks sick. I'm Takanuva's second biggest fan.
I'm Takanuva's first biggest fan.
Yeah. You can be his third biggest fan, Samuel.
Sure, I'll take that.
Okay, so any more thoughts before Chronicler's Corner?
Nope.
Excellent. You are now entering the Chronicler's Corner. The following content may not be appropriate for viewers unaware or unacquainted with the wider Bionicle lore, as major plot points and reveals will be spoiled. If you wish to avoid this section, skip to this time in the podcast.
59 minutes, 57 seconds.
Viewer discretion is advised. So, in the Chronicler's Corner now, one correction from last episode. The Bionicle timeline is not 12 months. It is 16 months from the arrival of the Toa to the end battle of Barra Magna.
Wow.
Yep.
That's actually
crazy.
insane.
Which means Makuta was in control of the universe for 1 to 2 months. Thousands of years of planning, and he got like a vacation's worth of time to be God.
That's really unfortunate.
I know. I'm like,
That's
what a
just
bummer.
the way the GSR crumbles, I
Yeah.
guess.
Like I said, at least Palpatine from Star Wars, like he got to be in control of the whole galaxy for like 20 years.
20 years,
20
yeah.
years.
And he
yeah.
had absolute control. So yeah, I think he did a little better. Although the rule of 2 line of Sith had been going for a long time. So maybe it's equivalent. I digress.
I don't know.
Boxor. Anyway, back to this episode's Chronicler Corner. The Mask of Light was originally created on the island of Artaka, in case the Makuta turned evil. So, good call by the Great Beans. Eventually, the Mask of Light was stolen by the Makuta when they turned evil.
The Great Beans didn't think that far ahead.
They're like, okay, maybe we missed something, right? Which I just think is fun. It's like, oh, we'll use this in case they turn evil. Oh, they stole it when they turned evil. So then the Rahaga, or the Toa Haga at the time, steal the Mask of Light back from the Makuta by betraying them. So it's like the Makuta didn't expect the Toa Haga to turn good and betray, or like to turn against
split
them
with
when they
them,
learned
yeah,
that it was
right.
evil. And it's like, okay, so no one expects betrayal in this universe.
No one expected the Turaga. Why can't I say that?
So they fled with it to Metro Nui as the Rahaga, and they just stored it in the archives. And since the archives, no one knows what's in it at any given time, even though they're supposed to be archiving things.
Right.
It was totally safe. No one found it. Eventually,
It's like Powahi Caves.
yeah, exactly. Eventually, the Toa Metru found it, and they smuggled it out of Metro Nui by encasing it in the stone and bringing it up to Mata Nui.
How the heck did they find it?
The Rahaga led them to it.
Oh, okay.
Because the Rahaga knew where.
Yeah, I was gonna ask
Right.
that. I was
Yeah.
like,
Wait, did that happen in the books?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, they have to do a whole thing, do a fetch quest while they're the Toa Hordika, and that's how they get out.
Oh, okay.
So the mask was the mask was imbued with Toa power, like how Likan imbued the Toa stones, and that's why it was able to transform to Kua when he put it on.
that makes sense.
I'm like, oh yeah, that's
Why
cool.
did no one ever try on the mask before that? Or did people try it and it just doesn't work unless you're destined?
As
to
far
use
as I
it?
know, no one tried on the mask. The Makuta aren't going to try it on for.
Well, yeah,
obvious
obviously.
reasons.
But why did like the Rahaga not try it, or I mean the Haga when they were Toa? You know, why did no one else try it? Presumably it's existed since the beginning of the universe.
Not the beginning, but like pretty
More or
early
less. So it seems weird to me that no one would have at least tried it. But then again, there's a lot of things in the Bionicle universe.
There's no known instance of mass turning people into Toa, so they wouldn't do it in the hopes of turning into
Yeah,
a
but they
Toa.
would know that it's a very powerful mask.
Mm-hmm.
Although we all know
what happens when you wear the super powerful mask. So honestly, probably smart on their
fair point. Yeah, actually, fair point.
Yep. Okay, so that is the end of Chronicler's Corner. And any questions before we move on to set/technical?
I feel like I had something that I was gonna correct. Oh, it was from the Matoran episode. I remember what it was. I think I said that there was only 1 2-pack that the Matoran came in. But there are 3 2-packs, so all 6 Matoran were available in 2-packs. That also included a copy of the Avohkii in gold.
Nice. Real recent with those episode corrections.
Okay, you know what, man? Sometimes when I'm doing research...
You can just cut that part out and put it into the episode right after the Matoran episode.
You are now entering the set and technical portion of the podcast. This is where we examine the real-world production and set design of the LEGO Bionicle toy line. So, okay, we know at the end of 2003, we had the Rockshi released, and then there were 4 larger sets, which are generally referred to as Titans, that came out in that same release wave. So 2003 was actually super packed because you had the Toa Nuva and then the Bohrok-Kal, and then you had all the Matoran, so that was that first wave. And then the second wave, you had all the Rockshi and these 4 sets. So pretty packed year for Bionicle. So there were 4 sets, and these are sets 8593, 8594, 8595, and 8596. And these were all sort of directly tied to the Mask of Light movie, including using the Mask of Light branding and all that different stuff. So these were clearly made to go along with the release of the movie. They're all like roughly around 200 parts, and they all retailed $20 to $30. So not gonna break the bank. Actually, Bionicle really, as a whole, was just not a super expensive theme at the beginning. Like,
unless you wanted all the Chrono.
Don't. Flashbacks. Okay, so the first set is 8593, and this is Makuta. Originally, this set retailed for $20, and with 199 parts, I think that's a pretty decent value, actually.
Sounds like a ripoff, not even 200 parts.
I mean, Bionicle usually runs a little on the expensive side, so
yeah,
not too bad. The first appearance of our shadowy villain Makuta in figure form strikes an appropriately imposing presence. That is incredibly hard to say. Appropriately imposing presence. Wow, geez.
Appropriately imposing.
See, it's hard. I told you.
Appropriately imposing presence.
I said 5 times fast, Samuel.
Appropriately imposing presence. Appropriately imposing presence.
Okay, there.
Anyway. Whoa, sorry. I didn't.
Well, no, you only got halfway to the breaking.
Yeah.
You can yell however loud you want.
Anyway, so his main color scheme was he had 2 shades of silver. So he had pearl light gray and pearl dark gray, and then his kind of the rest of his color scheme was gray, black, and red. So obviously evil. He had a really unique design. It was humanoid, so 2 arms, 2 legs, head, all the things. But the building techniques were really unique. Like, we hadn't seen anything really like that up to this point.
It definitely feels the most mock of any of the sets at the time.
Yeah.
In just its like complexity and scale.
Right. Yeah. And it's interesting because it does a lot with the parts that were available at the time. So it's a really good, it's a solid set. It looks good. It's very posable. Mm-hmm. And it still manages to pack in a play function. So there you go. One thing that's interesting about this one is elbows. Has elbows, but not knees.
Oh.
Which is very sad to me. I was super excited when I saw that it had elbows. I was like, yes! And then I was like, oh.
So why is it Rockshi, which are the essence of Makuta, have knees? But Makuta himself does not.
Well,
have
I would
knees.
also like to point out that the reason he doesn't have knees is because they use Rockshi parts for his legs.
Correct.
So it's like, this really seems weird.
Yep. Fair point. Yeah, so it mostly uses a mix of ball and socket joints and ratchet joints to make up the moving parts of the build. So it uses both ratchet joints on the legs and feet, and then ball and sockets on the arms. You could turn a gear on the back that would allow the top of his torso to turn. So he had a staff that he could sort of swing.
It's a Shadow Kolhi staff.
Yes. Yeah. Which uses the exact same part as Takanuva's staff topper. So
For symmetry, Jacob. No light, dark.
right.
Complex themes.
This set also featured the debut.
The debut? Are you just like Makuta, you are French.
Cannot speak. This set would also feature the debut of the fabled Kanohi Avohkii, the Mask of Shadows. And it was... Okay, so there's actually a little bit of a discrepancy here. Bricklink says that this version of the mask was pearl black, which would have been the same color as the Rockshi parts for the black Rockshi. Which we own the Makuta set, and it's just plain black, I think. I have not noticed a distinct difference.
I also haven't noticed.
Ours looks just straight up black.
And what makes this worse, though, is because that mask is also included in Makuta, what's his face? Icarix.
Icarix.
Yeah. That one actually is black for sure. And so since there's two variants of the mask, it's kind of confusing. So I don't know. Bricklink says it's pearl black, so I'm just going to go with that.
What is with Lego naming colors pearl?
It's just like a description of like a little bit of like a luminance, I guess.
The Mask of Shadows has a bit of luminance.
Yeah, very
Riddle me
strange.
this.
Yeah. Anyway, so this mask is actually super interesting because it has at least 3 recognized variants. So the mask has like holes sort of on the bottom part of it. It's really kind of like a 2-sided mask. So if you like flip it one way, it kind of looks like a face, and then if you flip it other way, it's more like an angled like bird beak kind of looking thing.
Angled bird beak version is way cooler.
I agree. But if you flip it the other way, so more of the face version, there's like 6 like little holes down at the bottom, kind of on the chin. Or there's supposed to be 6, but some versions, because of I guess a manufacturing error, only have 4 holes with 2 of them filled in. And some versions have 5 holes with only 1 of them being filled in.
Very strange.
So it's really weird. But it's it's some sort of error, I guess. And so there's a bunch of variants of that one. So check your Crocons and see which one you have. Do you have the 4-hole variant, the 5-hole variant, or the 6-hole variant?
Make sure to let us know, and we'll give you a big old smoochy kiss.
But not for our blind listeners.
No, our blind listeners. Our blind viewers can't get it.
Anyways, what's interesting about this set too is it also includes 2 Avohkiis in silver, which were used as Makuta's hands. So that's interesting too, because this piece does end up surviving all the way up to the end of Bionicle because it's used as Takanuva's mask in the stars set. So
What a strange choice to have Makuta have 2 of the Mask of Light.
I know it's very strange, but it works really well as hands.
It looks
actually
very good. It's better
Yeah.
than Axe on Hands, I'll give you that.
Hey.
How dare you?
Sorry, I mean, it's worse than Axe on Hands. No, that's a filthy lie.
Anyway, this set includes a plethora of parts from Bionicle and Technic's history, including Bohrok shields, Toa tools, and then there's this one piece called Technic Block 3x5 by 1 2/3. Really catchy
What?
name. And it's sort of like an engine block looking piece, and that thing has been around forever, and it did finally retire in 2007, but it came in 36 sets in 15 colors. So this thing is pretty ubiquitous.
Yeah. Like your mother.
You could say that.
He said ubiquitous, not omnipresent.
I think he thought I said ubiquitous. Anyways, you could combine the 8594 and 8595, which was the Guko, Jaller and the Guko, to build a Makuta Nui combiner model, which looks like this.
Very lovely.
Why the heck would they call it Makuta Nui when the Nui is 6 things merging together?
They just called it what? They just called combiners whatever the heck they wanted to
and
call
also,
them.
why the heck is merging with a Guko bird what makes him a Nui?
So in lore, this is actually not a combiner. It's just this is what Makuta changes his like form to intimidate people.
It is very intimidating.
Yep.
If that thing came at me in the middle of the night, I'd be like, yeah, I'll kill Jaller. I'll do whatever you say.
So, there you go. That's like his like monstrous form, I guess. But I don't know. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah,
it does look cool.
Of the combiners, it's actually definitely one of the
S
best
tier
hands
for
down.
combiners.
Yeah.
That's because it's mostly just Makuta with like a monster head.
True.
Hey, you know what?
If
Play
it
to
ain't
your
broke,
strengths.
don't fix it.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, so that's Makuta. So then we move on to 8594, which is Jaller and Guko, which originally retailed for $20 with 165 parts, so not quite as good of a deal, but it's still pretty cool. This set included Jaller, who is the same character that was originally named Jalla, and he is, of course, one of the main characters in the Mask of Life movie. And apparently his Guko does have a name, and it's Ka. So there you go. And Ka does make a brief appearance in the movie.
Starring as Ka, the Guko bird.
Yes. Exactly. Voiced
He
by...
plays himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, in this one, Jaller's design is identical to the other Matoran of the 2003 wave. He has the same red and yellow color scheme that he had as a Mictoran. He has the same yellow How. And he also has a Kolhi stick, because of course he does, because all the Matoran did.
Can I just say, I think it's funny, since he canonically has Lee Khan's How. Does that mask just make you jump in front of death lasers?
You can't help yourself.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
just compels you.
Destiny.
It's the mask of shielding with yourself. It's good body shielding. Give it to the Secret Service.
Fair point.
Get down, Mr. President mask.
I would take a bullet for you.
Your Majesty, I would gladly take a bullet for you.
I'm gonna add that in when I do the video editing.
Princess
I'm gonna
Diary
put
2
that, yeah,
reference.
I'm gonna put that clip in.
Oh my gosh. So the play feature for this set was that you could kind of push a lever down on the back of the Guko and it would like flap its 4 wings, which is kind of cool.
Wait, is that the same mechanic they use for the Ornithopter?
It is.
It's
actually
very similar. Yeah, similar
Dune
mechanic.
ripped off Bionicle.
Except the Ornithopter has 6
Frank
wings.
Herbert looking at Bionicle. Dang it, they stole all my ideas.
It's actually it's a pretty cool feature, and you could, much like many of the other flying creatures in Bionicle, you can kind of hold it from the back and just kind of fly around. So
It
that's
was
fun.
made to be swooshable.
Yeah.
Very much so, yes. So there were pin attachments on the Guko, so that you could attach to Matoran, which presumably you'd want to do Jaller and Takua.
But you
I
could
would
also throw on
imagine.
Just throwing that out there.
Or if you really want to spice things up, Holly and Jaller.
Holly and Hafu?
The dream
At this
team.
point-
Hafu would love that.
He would non-canon that.
Dang, Boxor. Anyway, so Guko's color scheme was mainly silver and dark orange, and it had many Technic beams in pearl gray, which is pretty cool. That's what Brooklyn calls silver. It was the only set besides the Ultimate Creatures accessory pack, which they made a bunch of those at around this time. They're just literally buckets of parts. But it was the only set to contain the air katanas in dark orange. You could combine this set with 8593 and 8595 to make the Makuta Nui combiner. So there you go. Let's see. Oh yeah, so the Makuta Nui combiner actually took 3 models. I don't know why I only put 2 on there the first time, but it's Takua and Puku, Jaller and Guko, and Makuta. All right, next up we got 8595 Takua and Puku, originally retailing for $20 with 221 parts, which is the best deal out of the lot here. The set includes Takua, who is of course the main character and would later be known as Takanuva. Interestingly, this is the first and only time, I believe, that you see the same character released in 2 different forms in one wave.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Takua and Takanuva are the same character, so I don't think you ever see that again, which is kind of interesting. But
did the Rohag?
because
Did the Tohag and the Rohag?
Aruni and Nora came out the year after the Rohag,
Okay.
I believe. So, or the year before, I can't remember which one. But yeah, it's kind of cool. Takua's design is the same as Jaller and all the other Matoran of the 2003 wave. But it is interesting because his color scheme is red, blue, and medium blue. And this is the only time you'd see red and blue used for a fire character in Bionicle.
I think it's a cool color scheme. I always love blue being associated with fire. 'Cause
I like it.
blue fire is cool.
Yeah, it's just a very interesting choice and one that we'll unfortunately never see again. So there you go. His mask is a medium blue Picari, which we had seen previously in 8548 Nui Jaga. So it's the masks on the Nui Jaga.
Yeah.
Puku had an interesting mechanism where there were wheels attached to the bottom of her, and as you would like roll her, the legs would move up and down, so it kind of looked like it was walking.
Wait,
which is
so
cool.
do all the crabs in Bionicles have wheels? Because the Mantis crabs have wheels, right?
I mean, not all of them. There's small crabs that don't have wheels, but yeah, basically.
I will say it's funny, Jaller riding on a crab. That will be important later for Marinui.
Jaller
When
loves
he gets
crabs.
a tiny little crab.
Jaller,
Character development of never changing. It's stupider all the time. This deal's getting worse all the time.
how dare you disparage Jaller's crab?
I'm not disparaging the crab. I'm disparaging his relationship to the crab. It could have grown, where instead it just stayed stagnant, much like the evolution of the crab. The carcinization of love.
That was so Boxor. Okay.
Which is also crab-like.
In what way is Boxor crab-like? It has arms.
And wheels.
Crabs, what? Okay, Boxor doesn't have wheels for one.
Prove it.
It literally doesn't have
believe
wheels.
Continue.
Anyways, the shaping on Puku's shell is mostly made up of brown and dark orange hose parts, which are exclusive to in those colors to this set to give it sort of like a more rounded look, while also not using a billion parts. Notably, this set uses Levokal's shield piece as its claws, which works extremely well. This set, of course, could be combined with the other two, 8593 and 8595, to build the Makuta Nui combiner. Okay, so last set we have...
Really quickly, I just want to comment on that set, on Puku.
Mm-hmm.
I love this set. Like, looking at it, it's so cool.
It's a good set.
It's a really nice looking set. Puku is way more adorable in this set than in the movie. No offense.
Hard agree.
To Puku in the movie, but yeah. I don't know. I just really like it. The color scheme works. The color scheme with Takua, I think, works really well too. They're just nice. It's a very pleasing looking set.
Honestly, I think all of these sets are bangers. All 4 sets are 100% hits.
Oh yeah, so far. I
Yeah,
enjoy
definitely
them
some
all.
of the best sets of early Bionicle.
Yeah. I mean, like, none of them are like ones, except for maybe Makuta, I would say. They're not ones where I think you would necessarily want to go like way out of your way to try to get it. But they're all just solid sets. They look
Makuta
good.
is one of the best Bionicle sets, period.
Yeah,
I think
oh,
he
yeah,
stands
for
the
sure.
test of time really
Yeah,
well. What he should, his
100%.
legs are huge.
But yeah, no, I fully agree. Okay, last set is 8596 Takanuva. And this one is actually interesting because despite having the exact same number of parts as Makuta, 199 parts, it cost $10 more. So it was retailing for $30 at the time. Why? Couldn't tell you, but there you go. Imagine being in the store and like asking your mom, like, yo, oh, can I get the Takanuva set? And she'll be like, why don't you just get the Makuta set? Because it's $10 less and has the same number of parts.
His pure aura makes the price go up.
It's so weird. I mean, it's just a weird choice to have two sets with the exact same part count have that drastic of a difference in price.
One of the tertiary powers of the Kanohi Avohkii is generating profit.
True. That is like actually
That is
literally
actually
true.
really accurate.
Anyways, so this set came with, of course, Takanuva and his Asanui vehicle. Takanuva had a really similar design to the Toa Nuva. He had essentially the same build as Gali, so he used the new like arm leg pieces for both his arms and his legs. But instead of having silver armor, he had dark gold armor, which actually, aside from those stupid parts packs, sorry, the parts packs are not stupid. They are very cool, actually. They're just annoying for my research. They, aside from one of those parts packs, it was exclusive to that set in gold, both armor pieces, so the shoulder pieces and the chest piece. Just like all the other Toa Nuva, you could turn a gear on his back and it would, move his arms up and down. His set also included the Kanohi Avohkii in flat dark gold. But it was not exclusive to this set because you could also get it in those Matoran 3-packs. So, Matoran 2-packs. Which just came packaged with 2 of the Matoran sets and then just like randomly had Kanohi Avohkii as part of it. So
I have no clue what Bionicle was doing.
they were just throwing
Recurring
stuff against the wall. Wait till we get to the last part of this. That's gonna really blow your mind. Okay. So what was interesting though about this set was it also came with another variant of the Avohkii. So this one was trans clear, and in this case, trans stands for transcontinental.
Transmogrification. Trans stands for transmogrification. The way that Takua Nuva transmogrified into. You know what I mean.
I was gonna say it stands for transcontinental, the way that the Toa and the Matoran went from Matanui to Metronui.
Excellent. Yeah.
Nice.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Could have said it stands for transportation.
That would have been better, actually. Anyways, so it had a trans clear. It was like molded in trans clear, but then it has this like weird gold glitter paint over the top of it, so it makes it look like it's like sparkling, basically, is the idea. So I guess it's supposed to be like the active version of the mask. When I first got this mask, I was so confused. I was like, is this a custom? Is it a knockoff?
I thought it was
something
a fake
like
mask.
that. It feels fake too because it has like this weird texture to it.
It's like rubbery.
Yeah.
And it's just like included in the set with like zero fanfare. Like it's just there. And I don't know. It's such a weird choice.
And it's sad, dude, because I think it's the worst looking version of the Avohkii. Like, I like all the gold versions and the silver, but I just don't like the transparent, glittery.
I don't know. I don't hate it.
either,
Yeah. I really don't hate it. I think it looks okay. But anyway, it's strange, but it's there. So,
Much like you.
it's cool. Hard agree. The Asanui would, of course, borrow lots of parts from other sets from this and previous waves, including Roxy shells, Bohrok shields, and all of these are mostly recolored to silver. So that's because canonically it's literally built out of Roxy parts and Bohrok parts. And
although, how the heck
other
they got
stuff.
the Bohrok shield parts when the Bohrok-Kal, because it's made out of Bohrok-Kal shields, right? Or it has some Bohrok-Kal shield.
Yes, it has the Levok shield, I think.
The Levok shield, the one that went into
What's
space,
the Korok shield?
the one that disintegrated.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Anyway.
right as it's about to disintegrate, it's like Indiana Jones grabbing the hat. They just grab the shield off. This will be important later.
So yeah, that's interesting. It also had a exclusive dark gray How, which was supposed to be like the unpowered dead version of Jaller's mask. So, or at least that's what the lore says. I don't know if they were really thinking of that when they designed the set, but yeah, there you go.
Bionicle and thinking.
Yeah. Much like Puku, this set would make liberal use of that flexible hose piece, but it was silver in this one. I don't know. They loved that piece back in this era. Actually, most of Bionicle, they just used this piece a lot. To use the play feature on the Asanui, you would turn a gear and it would retract or deploy the landing gear. It was like a 3-legged landing gear. It was very like bug-like, but it looked cool. And of course, it used the air katana for its landing gear, because what was the air katana not used for at this
The
point?
air katana is a sick, versatile piece.
It's a great
I'm
piece,
glad when
yeah.
it shows up.
Yeah. There was a new part introduced in this set, and that is the Bionicle weapon Staff of Light Blade, which is used as, unsurprisingly, the Staff of Light for Takanuva. And this piece would be used just all throughout Bionicle after this. You see it everywhere.
This
So,
and the air katana are my go-to. Like, I just give the guy a weapon.
yeah.
Yep.
They're just cool looking. Yeah. You could combine this set with 8593 Makuta to create Takuda Nuva. All right, now here's where it gets real funky. Okay, there was actually not one, not two. I wrote two, but not two, but 3 separate combo sets sold as Takuda Nuva. Yeah, 2 of them have like specific set number designations. One of them was a package deal that wasn't necessarily specifically a set number. So set numbers 10201 and 3287 were both sold as Takuda Nuva, even though they were literally just 2 sets, Takanuva and Makuta, packaged together in a box.
That's weird.
Yeah. So the difference is 3287 was just the 2 sets packaged together, whereas 10201 was sold as a limited edition version. Technically, it was a limited edition Toys R Us exclusive.
They do love their exclusive deals.
They really do. Wait till we get to some of the Target exclusives. That's a real fun one. And they were packaged together, but it came with an additional piece, which was the movie version of the Mask of Shadows, which confuses the heck out of me, because this thing does not look like the one that's in the movie.
No, it looks
just
more
looks-
like the normal Krakan.
But worse.
Yeah. It looks more like a face. Like, if you turn it to the face side, it looks more like a face than the normal Krakan, but not enough to actually be like a good looking mask.
It's just confusing. I don't understand why they did this. And then, of course, if you had the 2 sets, you could just combine them into the Takuda Nuva model, because there was free instructions online.
Yeah.
So it was like, what what were they doing? They were pushing Takuda Nuva so hard. So
To
hard.
be fair, it's a pretty cool combiner.
It is a cool combiner. It looks good. I mean, I do like it a lot.
I don't know if it looks better than just normal Makuta. though.
That's what I was about to say. I know. I'm not convinced. But anyways, so I was like, why do they have 3 different sets that were literally just 2 sets packaged together. It's just so weird. Bizarre choices all around. Anyway, that's all I got for the set information.
I like the sets. I think they're some of the most solid sets Bionicle's ever seen, at least in one singular wave.
Best movie tie-ins, that's for sure. Well, wait, hold on. I might have to retract that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are the other movie tie-ins?
Well, Rudica, Kureka, Nadiki, Kitangu.
Put Kitangu on that list.
I didn't say it was good.
You said best movie tie-ins.
Also, I guess Legend Reborn didn't specifically have any movie tie-ins. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, most of those are Web of Shadows. So
I think this definitely is the best. It has the best movie tie-ins.
Yeah, I think it's true. Yeah.
You are now entering the community portion of the podcast. In this section, we showcase some of our favorite creations from talented and passionate members of the Bionicle fandom. Okay, so for the community portion, we are going to start off with Brandon Builds on Instagram. He has a Takanuva redesign, and holy cow. I was actually the one to come across this, and I was like, this is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Just immediately the sleekness of the design is insanely impressive. I mean, we've looked at a lot of cool builds on the show so far, but like...
Well, this is the same guy that built Takua that we were recommending in the Matoran
Oh, there you
episode.
go. That's really cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I just like it because, like I said, he looks cohesive. He looks like it just all flows together, like he's wearing one suit of armor.
Yeah. And he still has that same confident posture and imposing. It's like, yeah, this guy is...
I also
the goat.
like the change of his staff, the direction, so it looks kind of more like a Kanohi stick in a way because it has a hook, right? So it's like it looks like he's going to, I don't know, like the scythe looks a little bit more
well, especially
imposing.
with the little orb of light in the middle.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that definitely feels Kanohi ball and his Kanohi ball specifically.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't get over it
Just
enough.
excellent use of system parts too. Like there are so many system parts, but it doesn't even look like it because it's so clean. Like it just, I don't know. I really like this one.
It's phenomenal.
Next up we have Vince Geldrak on Pinterest. Geldrake. Oh, on Pinterest. And this is a Jaller and Takuva fan art. Sorry, Jaller and Takanuva fan art.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That is really cool.
Yeah, so it's them on their in their Toa forms on Barra Magna fighting Rockshi, and it's just cool seeing the two friends reunited, but at the end of their story and destiny, and just like so strong and like confident.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
They are two people who have completely come into their own power at that point, which is just so cool.
Yeah, and just the way they're depicted, I'm like, that is like super jacked Toa. That could definitely like. I would see why the Matoran would like worship these guys, right?
Yeah.
They're essentially Spartans. Like how you would imagine looking at a Spartan is kind of how I imagine Matoran looking at.
Yeah, that's actually really
Toa.
good. Way to show it.
Man, what other two characters, like that are alive have gone through as much like just trauma as these two?
They're kind of like R2-D2 and C-3PO in a way. Like they're so pivotal, right? So important, and yet like they just have so much to them, and they just carry on throughout nearly the whole story. We can't seem to let go of them, which I'm not complaining about.
Yeah, they're just characterized so well and
Yeah.
they're so interesting. Like I love reading about them.
Okay, next up we have Bucky on the TTV message boards with another Takanuva revamp.
Ooh, that's nice.
So this one's a little bit more true to the original design. It uses a lot of the same pieces. It does give him knees, which is something to point out
And
here.
elbows.
And elbows, yeah. Wow, really articulated here. And so I like this one as well.
Instead of beefing him up with the sleekness and Technic parts like Brandon Builds did, this one like stays true to the smaller size and stature and just makes him a little more streamlined and refined.
Yeah.
But still not as much. Right?
Yeah.
It still looks very Technic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like this one.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of it. I'm like, yeah, this isn't how you would imagine the set to look. The other one imagines how you would think the idea of Takanuva would be.
Right. Okay, so next one. Wait, are we doing that one?
Yeah, I put this one on here. This is the Asanui.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so the next one is by it's an Asanui redesign by Brain and Meat Vessel on Reddit. And it's just redesigning the Asanui to look better, in my opinion, with multiple different colors that use the different Bohrok shields and masks associated with those colors. So I think it just looks a little bit bleaker and
I really like
neater.
the red one a lot.
Yeah,
The red one looks really cool.
he has 4 of them. I just think they're cool.
Yeah.
Classic Marge Simpson meme. I just think they're neat.
I definitely like the red one the best, for sure.
Well, yeah, you filthy Ta-Matoran lover.
Whatever.
Okay.
Okay, so next one is Takuda Nuva redesign by Kurikori on Biosector. And this one just struck me. It just looks cool. I really like it. Also, the use of the gold Crocon is excellent.
It's much more like bestial and like
Yeah.
savage looking, which when it's standing up and tries to be in the Makuta pose looks a little strange, but then when it gets down low, it's like, oh yeah, this is a menacing, this thing wants to kill you. And I especially love the use of the, Pohatu's climbing claws on the Kolohi staff. I think it just looks, it ties it together.
Yeah. I like the asymmetry in the design too. Like the wings are clearly noticeable, but this color difference on each side is noticeable as well. Like one shoulder's silver and one is like the darker gray, as well as gold on one side. I think it's smart because it's trying to, your Takuda Nuva is a mix of the two, right? And so it's like you have these two halves kind of merging at the center, and I think that's well done.
It's also cool to show how many pieces get recolored because they use a ton of the same pieces for each
Yeah,
side.
that's a good point.
So on a technical level, I think it's very cool.
Yeah. All right. And then on to what is probably my favorite mock of the evening. I love this one. So this is the movie Makuta, which is by the Makuta Nui mock. That is the name of the person who made this.
I wonder what he's a fan of.
This is also on TTV. And this mock combined with the paint job is just absolutely brilliant. Like, this looks so cool. It's exactly like what the movie version looks like. And I think, honestly, comparing this version to the official set version, I really like the mock. I think I like it better, actually.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still partial to the original Makuta design, but the mock just looks. Yeah, if you've seen the movie version,
It's very impressive.
looks like
Yeah.
you must be very proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a massive win, and the coloring especially super cool.
That, like, rusted look.
Mm-hmm.
I might need to make one of these.
Because Makuta's just corrosive, evil, and dingy.
Although I won't be painting any official parts. I will be 3D printing them.
Editor Samuel here. So since we recorded this episode, Brandon Builds, who made the Takanuba that we showed first, has also come out with a couple more builds. One being Takuda Nuba, which is just, again, so amazing, so excellently built. It's probably the most definitive version of Takuda Nuba I've seen. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that. And he's also built a Makuta Pterodax. And this one also is super amazing, super impressive, looks great. So it's kind of in all of that same style that he's done, and I just love it so much. So those are the two that he's come out with since we recorded this episode.
Any closing comments on Community?
Good MOCs today.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent stuff.
Yeah.
It actually, I am totally inspired to do my own take on Takuda Nuva. Like, I think it would be really fun to go ahead and do one.
Yeah. I think for such a cool concept, it just inspires people to be like, oh yeah, I want to make it look like how I imagine it.
Yeah.
Right?
I always think it's so interesting how with Bionicle, it's like it inspires you to like revamp sets or something like that. Like it's so like there's almost no other product I feel like where the story is so connected to the actual like toy that you want to like remake it into like a better version of itself. You know, I don't know if I'm making sense.
Well, because the way they're designed so simply and with so few pieces evokes such strong emotions and ideals that are larger than life.
Right.
So making the sets to match them
Yeah.
is like, yes, this is what I always imagined it was.
Yeah.
Which is so weird because you're literally looking at the thing,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and you're imagining something different.
Well, it's
in
even
some
crazy
ways.
because I love the sets that we imagine
Right.
them off. Like, I love the original Takanuva set. I love the original Tahu set. It's like when they get reimagined, I'm like, I also love these because it feels like how. So it's an interesting, weird dichotomy.
Yeah, Bionicle is just so unique in that respect to me. You don't see a lot of things like that.
Well, with that, I believe we close today's episode on the Mask of Light movie. And make sure to watch out for our next episode, which will be all about the Rakshi and where they come from, what they do, and all 42 powers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, make sure you can count, because holy cow, we're gonna be going through a lot of numbers next week.
Yep.
And if you think the Chronicler collecting was bad, boy, howdy, are you in for a real shock?
You see nothing yet. But that ends today's episode, so good night, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen.
We love you. And they were roommates.
This brings us to the end of today's podcast. If you enjoyed the discussion, please follow us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you like to watch instead of listen, you can also find us on YouTube. The Barraki Talk Show is only made possible thanks to viewers like you. Thank you.